Cheers.
Cheers.
What are we drinking here?
We are drinking negronis.
And what's in a Negroni?
It is 1 part gin, 1 part Campari liqueur, and 1 part sweet vermouth, which is some sort of wine-based something.
I like it.
Do you like it? I haven't tried it.
Yeah, great summer drink. It's also, I've been having the Campari
That's why I wanted to try it.
pretty frequently. It's great, like with some soda or something to lighten it up, too.
Yeah, this is strong, not in the alcohol sense, but in the herbal.
Yeah, it's like very thick
Herbal.
and not exactly syrupy.
Yeah.
And as the ice melts, it's going to get...
Yeah, that's the
better,
whole
but-
reason you do the whole ice thing. Apparently named for a Count Negroni, who was a party guy in the early 1900s in
That's what he did?
in Europe. Yeah.
He's a party guy.
Yeah, he was a rich party guy.
Yeah.
The whole transatlantic accent thing, the 20s kind of movie accent.
Listen now here, darling.
Yeah. It's called a transatlantic accent.
I thought it was just Atlantic. Or no, mid-Atlantic.
It depends. It turned into the Mid-Atlantic. Anyway, Negronis. Here we go.
I like vibrantly colored drinks.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, let's talk stuff.
Yeah, so music. We were preparing for this podcast as we do, which is like, what did we do in music this week? And had trouble coming up with ideas because we just went to San Diego for 5 days to visit my dad and his wife. And we did not go see any music. We did not listen to any music. We did not do any music. We heard people playing music.
Right.
Like we saw lots of roller skaters, not rollerbladers, but roller skaters. And a lot of them had those boom boxes like purses, like it was on a shoulder strap.
Yeah,
and it was
yeah.
sharing their music with the world. So there was a lot of that.
But sort of, I mean, I guess we could talk, to make it a little wider. We were in Mission Beach in San Diego, which is this amazing little pocket neighborhood. I don't know, 10 blocks, 20 blocks. It's a few miles wide. We walked up to the pier a few times.
Yeah, up to the pier, that's where Pacific Beach
Pacific Beach
starts. So it's a couple miles long.
Couple miles long. And it's a beach community, and it's also on the bay on the other side, and just a cool little neighborhood. It's one of those neighborhoods you don't need to leave. There's restaurants, there's all those things, and we spend a lot of time walking when they're there, and they have the boardwalk, which runs along the beach almost the whole way, pretty much the whole way. And it is maybe some of the best people watching you could ever hope to do.
It's so good. We spent so much time just sitting out there watching people. It's so diverse.
Yeah.
That's what I love.
Amazingly. I mean, it was just people of every socioeconomic, cultural, especially on the weekend. We were there over the weekend, especially Saturday and Sunday. What a lot of people do is they go and just let's go walk around on the boardwalk with their families, or maybe they're young punk kids and they've got punk rock coming out of their little speakers. But apparently it's this very California thing to do, to either bike or roller skate or skateboard or any of those things with your own little personal music and just ride up and down the boardwalk. So we just heard so many different people's music. I was shocked at how much old stuff there was. Not just rock and roll, but a lot of the rap you were hearing was like...
You were surprised how much Kanye you were hearing, you said.
There's a lot of Kanye. I thought we all decided on Kanye. Apparently it's fine. So we heard a lot of Kanye, not even recent Kanye, like graduation era Kanye, 2008 stuff. But a lot of it was even older, like 80s, 90s, and there were these like sometimes groups of 15-year-old kids, and they're like listening to like Today It Was a Good Day, like, Eazy and NWA and all the early, and I was like, how do they even hear these songs? I mean, I guess there was that movie Straight Outta Compton, so that kind of maybe, who knows? But it was just fascinating to hear all that.
Yeah, everything from like Latin music,
Lots of Latin,
Mexican families, R&B, rap, California, like smooth, like dance music, synthy stuff. Classic rock.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Just
It's fun.
It is. That is a melting pot, and I highly recommend. I'll do a recommendation here.
Oh, yes.
Trying to get those going. If you do get to go to San Diego, or are thinking about going to the West Coast at all, I highly recommend Mission Beach. It is a very cool place for a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Great food, great people watching. Also very low key. It's not snooty. It's easy.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's not like a fancy place. It's just.
I like how it's a little bit grimy.
It's a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
It's a little bit edgy. It's got everything.
Yeah.
It's not just clean and I mean it's expensive, but it's not just clean and rich and expensive.
Yeah, exactly. And there's all the family parties like on Saturday and Sunday there were these huge 30, 40, 50 people.
You see the areas claimed on the beach that had just lines of beach chairs, just like these huge circles.
And it was clearly like a birthday party or some sort of family celebration because there were the kids and the whole thing.
Oh, here's another place we went that I did love the music. We went to Hillcrest one day, and we which is a gay neighborhood, and we had a beer at the only gay brewery in the U.S. I don't know what it means to be a gay brewery. I said you just declare yourself gay friendly. I don't know. I mean, everybody who worked there seemed to be gay.
I think all breweries are pretty gay friendly. I don't know why.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway.
But they had a Pandora station that was totally right up my alley. It was like Pet Shop Boys and Erasure and Level 42 and like just all this synth pop from my high school years. Oh my gosh.
And they were going like back and forth between like hits you've heard a million times, like not in a bad way, but like the hit, the NXS and the whatever.
Oh yeah,
and
Howard Jones.
Yeah, and then they play some like deep cut stuff where you're like, oh, I remember this song. Like, wow, I haven't.
Yeah, that stuff hits harder when you haven't heard it over and over again over the years. But it was just like one of the not hits on the tape, the cassette tape that you played all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that memory hasn't been retrieved in a long time, so it's powerful when it does
really
get done
fresh.
up. Dude, I used to think, why would anyone want a guitar in their song? Before there was like. As recently as when we first met.
Yeah. No,
who needs guitars?
Totally aware. No, it's totally a joke.
No, it's not.
I did hear, I was telling you about that really funny interview I heard with Depeche Mode, who Depeche Mode were, I don't know, not really goth, but not really new wave, but they definitely were like this iconic, invented a sound that
little bit industrial, very synthy.
Very synthy. Yeah. Eventually led to Nine Inch Nails if you go the harder direction. Just wildly influential. And in this interview, they were saying they started playing keyboards and drum machines because they got tired of dragging around. They were playing pubs in England, and they got tired of dragging around amps and drum sets. And then they discovered they could just get synthesizers and drum machines and plug right into the whatever sound system they had at the pub, and then it was easier to like ride the bus or whatever. So, which was just funny because Depeche Mode has this iconic. You would imagine they had this vision for this sound.
Right. It sounds so cohesive and so true over the years. To their
exactly.
Sound. Like,
and it's so visionary. Like no one was doing that. Yeah, like it's this totally original thing. And apparently they just got tired of carrying amps. Hard to carry amps on buses in England. So anyway, we had tons of fun there. What else you got?
Well, we had a lot of time to walk and think and talk, and so we decided we're going to do an album.
Oh yeah, we did. On our mini walks back and forth to the pier.
Which I mean isn't like some earth-shattering piece of news. I mean, we did write a whole bunch of stuff that we just played at the Hard Rock Cafe. But that wasn't a full album's worth of stuff. That was probably 9 new songs, which is getting close to an album. But then we started looking back through some things, and we're going to reproduce 1 or 2 things.
I think we're going to redo Catch Me, which is already out, but we're going to redo the remix version of that.
Right. And we're thinking we might record Vienna, which we did at the show, which isn't like, it's a cover.
The Billy Joel song.
Vienna. Just try to make it a little bit in our style. It would be a ballad. It wouldn't be like super rocky thing, but
no one's done a cover of that isn't kind of frilly piano Billy Joel.
Right.
And it's just a gorgeous song. So we were talking about doing maybe that one cover. Anyway, technically it would be the first full-length AO album.
Yeah.
Not that that's some big news, but we've done what they call EPs, which are 4 to 7 songs maybe. technically the last one, Elevation, made it to album length because we had a bunch of remixes on the album.
Right.
But this would be the first full length.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a fun
It's just
project.
exciting. You know, this we certainly got a kickstart from all this stuff that's happened in the spring with the band, you know, being featured on a couple of radio stations, on a playlist, and then doing a show. And we're back in gear now.
I think we're back in gear.
Largely focused on writing and recording more than gigging. I mean, we want to gig, but I'm thinking 2 to 4 times a year. Just because it's pretty time consuming and it's hard to get people to go to shows. It's just like...
Original music is a hard sell.
Yeah. So we're going to build it up more online.
I would say I also get more of a kick now out of producing and writing new music. Like that kind of is more of a thrill than doing it live for me. Doing it live is great. Doing it live is a thrill. I can't live without playing live music, but I love when we get all jazzed on an idea and we just can't stop listening to it. Because we just love, like that. I'd rather spend more time doing that than all the hustling you have to do to play live, which is very... But you did release a new song.
Yeah, I mean, it's
not a new song.
It's not a new... Yeah, I finally released Gravity in Reverse to Spotify, which was the last song we did when the band was still active 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. So the producer on that was an artist by the name of Evoke. I don't know if he still goes by that, but... Alden
Grubbs. He has lots of music out.
Yeah.
Stunningly great artist
amazing.
And producer. Yeah.
Anyway, he was a student of mine for a while, and he produced a song for me in trade for some lessons. And we did a music video for that, and we released it to YouTube. And by that point, I was just dropping dead from exhaustion with AO, the band, and I never bothered to release it anywhere else. So I finally put that out. And so that's out.
So it's officially
new release. That's 5 years old.
Yeah.
4 years old. What else?
But it's out there. You can find it. The video, I think, is very cool. That was the first video that we shot 100% ourselves with iPhones, which we've done since then.
Yeah. And we're so excited to do new music videos, too. We just love the process.
It's going to be so much fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love making music videos.
Especially the, crazy guerrilla way we do it, where it's just no budget, no, just...
Yeah, if it costs anything. Well, we did spend money on a stabilizer that you can walk around with. But that's like an investment to use across all of our music videos.
Right.
Other than that, we're basically spending zero.
Yeah, and it's
$0.
Just figuring out.
And it makes you creative.
Yeah.
And we'll be coming up with some image, I'm very anti-pretty lately. I don't want to try to be pretty. I did put on earrings, by the way, to match my shirt. But other than that... For music videos, when you're at a local level, meaning you don't have $1 million shooting budget, and a hairstylist and a makeup artist and a wardrobe artist, a wardrobe consultant, when you're at the local level and you're trying to make a glamour music video, you're trying to look like Beyonce,
right?
It is really hard to make that come across well. And
usually it looks all the worse for trying to pull that off.
Exactly.
Or narrative things there's a story,
a Taylor Swift style story that
this person, you're in a bar and this person's talking, and the music videos that are like a little movie.
So I'm going anti-pretty, kind of like we did for What, where I just pulled out Stevie Nicks clothes, wore them sideways and inside out with Converse, and I had a big old scar on, a scab on my shin from falling hiking the day before. Yeah. And I just pulled stuff out of my closet. You lent me some things, and so we're thinking of ideas of me getting some cheap, super glittery prom dress. Yeah. And pretending I'm smoking. We're shooting a music video, but it's near a dumpster or
I like the
super
idea of
dirty or
eating a can of Vienna sausages or something, just in a really fancy dress.
Yeah. Or we had an idea of me coming up out of some mud in a lake somewhere, the glamour version would be coming up all dripping wet, super slow mo, you're catching the water dripping off and the hair's all sexy and but I'm gonna come up out of a lake in Wheat Ridge with algae on my shoulders and mud
Some
on my
leaves
face.
stuck on you.
Some dead leaves on my... That would be more fun to me than to try to look pretty in a music video.
Although it's really, and we talk about this, you know, when we do artist development work, that's part of it. Part of your brand promise now, your brand expectation is realness. Mm-hmm. You're leaning away from this, let me be fake,
yeah,
cooler than I really am. Let me be real, and the reality of like, you know, everything isn't glamour and great. And it's got this realness to it.
Yeah.
And we just have fun doing it.
Yeah.
It's creative. It's.
I mean, I end up looking pretty cool anyway, I have to say. It helps that I'm staying in shape. So I want to shoot more music videos as long as I'm still in shape.
Right.
Gotta shoot them now.
Yeah. Yeah, we usually come up with cool ideas. It's fun. And I enjoy directing and, you know.
Yeah, you're great with the ideas, and then I'm great with the editing.
Yeah, you do all the editing. So what else? Speaking of new music, I guess, looks like No Address is going to do a thing. Not that that means anything to anybody out there.
What's No Address?
No Address is the band that I started and was in that was on Atlantic Records and released an album and had a single.
And toured with big bands.
Toured with big
for
bands.
A year and a half and blah, blah.
One single that was the opposite. No one wanted that single.
So you guys were a one-hit wonder.
We were, yeah. While we were in San Diego, we had a conference call, and it looks like sometime around the first of the year, we're going to get together and start working on some new material. Phil and Ben, who would be Phil, the other guitar player in No Address, and also my longest musical partner. I started playing with him when we were like 13 years old. So we've played together for over 30 years. And Ben, who was the singer in No Address, they got together randomly and wrote like 9 songs in an afternoon.
That's crazy.
Which dudes like that can do. Like, they're just... What was I saying to you? Like if you know what a melody is and what a song is, you can just grind out some junk pretty easily. And it's pretty good. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like you haven't put lyrics to it and you haven't put a bunch of meaning into it yet. But as far as just like melodies and chords, it's like, it's pretty cool. That was one of the things about No Address that I was also saying to you. Like, that was a rare... That band had a rare amount of chemistry, just a great chemistry. We weren't always nice to each other. We weren't always getting along, but we just had lightning in a bottle chemistry. And that's so rare to find. And really, in hindsight, it's really rare to find 5 guys at that level of whatever you want to call it. You know, everybody in that band was sort of a monster in some different way. Just like, whoa. Like, it was a group of 5 guys who would have been the guy in 5 other bands. Mm-hmm. But everybody could have been the guy. And it was a group full of those people.
Yeah. Kind of like a super group, except that you guys didn't have, like,
except we certainly
some
weren't,
cred or something.
Yeah, we had nothing. You know, and we were just losers from Tallahassee. We had no idea what's going on. It's really weird that group of people got together, and in hindsight, I hate the word talent, but the abilities that everybody had in that group. You know, you really get 5 guys who are all good writers. I mean, everybody in that band is a really strong songwriter. You know, and that's pretty rare.
Talk about the time you guys wrote like not even an entire album, but like 30 songs or something in like a few weeks because you were... because you were maybe going to be dropped, or was it you were trying to get signed, or which one was it?
Well, the whole story is so... we're going to get it out at some point. We had an album that never got commercially released called Let It Out. And we wrote and recorded and mixed and mastered and the whole thing. We made the whole album starting from no songs. So we wrote everything, and we did write about 30 songs and trimmed it down to album length in 19 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was writing the songs.
Oh my gosh.
Writing the parts, recording them, doing all the mixing and mastering.
In 19 days?
In 19 days. Yeah. We had about 30
gosh.
songs, and we trimmed it down to 12 or 13. I can't remember. And that was part of why we were able to do that, is everybody in the band was a writer. So it's like, hey, who's got ideas?
Yeah.
Let's throw them in the pile. And most of what wound up on Let It Out was not pre-written stuff, although there was stuff Randy, the drummer, had written and came in like fully written, and we were like, great, that's a good song, we'll just use that. And Bill had some stuff, and everybody had some stuff. Easily, that record is Bill's finest work on bass guitar. He just really killed it on that record. And the reason we did that was because we were just about to get shipped off to make our official big budget album on Atlantic Records. And we were shipping out to do that in a month. And at the time, this was 2004, the record industry was really falling apart. And for context, I don't know if I said it before, earlier in 2003, 2004, no, this actually happened 6 months later. Atlantic had 50-something rock bands that hadn't put out records yet. So 50-something new rock bands. They cut everybody but 2, and we were one of them, and the other one.
Do you know who the other band was?
I don't know.
Okay. Wow.
I know Alex Sayer from one of the other bands that got cut. Anyway, what had kept us signed while everything was falling apart, and it was taking years for the producer and the budget and everything to come together for us to do the record, maybe 18 months. But we were churning out 2-3 songs a month of new demos. So the label constantly had something to be excited about. And I was producing at my studio in Tallahassee, and we were just writing like crazy. I've said before, we wrote 90 songs for that first album. And that was the process where
90.
Every month we were churning out 2, 3, 4, 5 songs and fully demoing them like this could go on the radio tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
Doing it at that level. And then kicking that up to the label.
Yeah.
Kicking that to our A&R guy, Steve Robertson. And then he could take it to the label and go, hey, check this out. They got new stuff. And so the label was constantly excited every month.
Yeah.
And I knew that's what was going on.
Uh-huh.
And I knew that's why we were sort of staying like in contention, even though we didn't have a product yet. So I also knew that getting shipped off to do that album, the real album that was going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and all that, we weren't going to be able to keep kicking out demos. So I needed a big gesture.
Oh.
And so I thought, before we leave, bam, here's a whole album. Here's a whole album of nothing you've heard before. We're about to go do an album. Here's an album in advance. You want... I got albums.
You want an album?
You want an album? Here's an album. And that was totally it, was to be like, please don't drop us. Please, please, please. Let us work on this record and not get dropped. And so right before we left, I think we left on August 24th or something, and we started around August 1st. So like literally, like I think I finished it days before we got on a plane.
Oh my gosh.
To go do the record. And it was 100% to be like, we need something in the bank we need something in the gas tank to keep people interested.
Oh my gosh.
Because if we didn't have something and we're out here working on this album for 6 months, spoiler alert, it wound up taking 11 months, and nothing new is coming out, they're going to get bored. We could be on the chopping block. But if I'm like I said, you thought we were leaving? Here's another album. Here's a full length.
Dude, people who complain about like how hard you have to work and like, I'm putting out a new song every month. They should take a lesson from you. That's insane. That's what it's like to really want it.
I mean, that was the grind that was necessary to be at a major level at the time. Probably you need more grind than that now. That's probably not actually true. I don't want to scare anybody. You don't need that level of grind now in a way, but you can really work hard if you want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I had the advantage of being in possession of a large advance from a record label, so I didn't have to work because the record label gave us a bunch of money to...
But sometimes that's even harder, you know,
Yeah.
if you have days ahead of you and you don't have a job you have to go to,
Yeah.
and you just have all this time, it's very easy to let that time slip by. And you didn't. You had 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and you wrote 30 songs with your band and recorded an album and
Yeah.
mixed and mastered. Insane.
And that was, my normal work schedule for a lot of time then was very often, definitely putting in 12 to 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
And, the 12-hour days were because you either had to go play a gig or you had to go attend somebody else's gig for political reasons and then head back home and keep working. So, and that was usually what I worked was 12 to 16-hour days. No days off. I think the finishing that record was probably around a 36-hour day. Like I probably just did take a nap or two, but just basically like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what Let It Out was, and hopefully we're going to get that out. There are some legal concerns, blah, blah, blah. I say we should just do it, but hopefully everybody will get to hear it. It was a real spin for the band. It was rough and ragged and not like a record people make in the modern day, which was part of the idea too. Like, you thought we were this, but here's this thing that like no one's done since the 70s. Like, here you go. And it had a little interstitial skits in between the songs
really?
And the whole thing.
Oh,
like,
cool. Wow.
It was a full album. Yeah, so that was that. So that band and those guys are hopefully gonna get some new music going. I think we're just gonna put some songs together and put it out. Might be No Address, might get another name, we don't know. We'll see what's going on there. But kind of exciting to talk about.
So you have a lot of music to work on in the next year or so because
I know.
We've got the resumption of the AO band and we've got the resumption of No Address.
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
Don't have to worry about that really till the end of the year, but that is going to be this year. Yeah. And Eric Golden's album is coming to, a lot of albums coming.
Yeah.
So it's
Cool.
been a big year. And just to pile on, I am apparently doing a new live segment. I'm going to have to figure out how to do it tomorrow, but...
No, you don't have to do it tomorrow.
Oh, I'm not starting until next week?
No, I haven't even picked a start date for you yet. You told me you couldn't do it this week.
Okay, never mind then.
But
not piling on.
Yeah, but I mean, it's piling on soon.
That'll give me time to.
Yeah, we get a couple weeks.
Let's talk about what it is. I'm going to start going live on, I think for sure YouTube Live, but I think also Facebook Live. I think I might do two devices and to do a live AD sessions every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. 7 o'clock.
7 Mountain, 6 Pacific.
6
right?
Pacific.
And then 8 Central, 9 Eastern, I think
9
is what
Eastern,
we decided.
yeah, right.
But yeah, so a different topic each week, maybe half an hour or so, whatever you feel like you need to cover the topic and answer questions. People can chat in to ask stuff, but I mean, regardless, that this content is going to be there for the watching indefinitely.
Right.
So, whatever comes up in your lessons that week, your sessions with people, whatever we end up talking about that you want to go a little deeper on for artist development.
Yeah.
I mean, artist development is such a huge, huge topic, and
of course,
I think a lot of people don't know what it is, even though we try to describe it on the website, because it encompasses everything from songwriting, because songwriting represents your brand, to the visuals of your brand, to how you perform on stage, to how you create a set, to what your overall strategy is, what kinds of shows you book, how you find your audience, marketing, promotion. I mean, it's everything about being an artist, a musical artist in the world.
Yeah, finding your persona, finding your brand, figuring out how to make that happen. Yeah, how to present yourself to the world.
Yeah, and you just have a lot of AD clients lately.
Right.
You have more than you've ever had lately.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot, and it's been great. Also talking about getting through some of those blocks. All musicians, I think, have blocks. Just stuff that gets in your way. And, so I will be going live and just doing, probably to start out with, I'll do some of my spiels I do on various topics. But people can write in and chat in and ask their questions. And if people are asking enough questions, I will just 100% be asking questions and doing a live AD session for everybody.
Yeah.
So that is starting sometime.
I should have picked a date, but I'd say a couple weeks out.
Yeah, let's do it a couple weeks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so look out for that. I'm sure we'll talk about it on this podcast. looking at our list, I think we might be done. This one might be a
Yeah.
light one.
Basically done. I mean, our first rehearsal for the next showcase is coming up on Saturday, so we've all been doing some prep for that, but don't know much there's to
Are you
say
singing
about that.
harmony for that, it sounds like?
I'm singing backups on that one.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah.
Wow. It's going to be a strong band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, we've explained this to some of our students, not as not super publicly, but when people maybe ask why it costs X dollars to sing a song at a showcase,
Right.
we're like, well, remember, you have 5 professional musicians learning your song and rehearsing it 2 different days and showing up to do a gig. You have a venue with a bar person, a door person, a light person, a monitor person, 2 monitor people in this case.
Sound.
And, you've got engineers, you've got performance high staff, you've got all the administration that goes into this, you've got someone to write charts. And basically, we don't make money on showcases. We usually lose a little money. But right now, I don't want to lose that much money. So I'm being the backup singer, so I don't have to pay another backup singer. It's the long and the short of it.
That's why. That's why. Cheapness.
Yeah, I'm being cheap.
Yeah. No, that'll be great. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun for you to be involved. Mm-hmm. And the guys always like it when you're on stage and stuff. Oh. Yeah. Not really.
It's going to be great, though, because we're going to have videography, like multi-camera videos.
Oh, nice.
From Hans Domkoller of Timberline.
Timberline, video production.
Yeah, he's done this before with us. And we're going to have Veronica Lee, talented concert photographer, shooting.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah, she shot some of the Legend Makers photos that first gig.
She's great.
She's really good.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Wow, so that's going to be a fun... it's at the Oriental Theater. We've talked about it tons of time. Mm-hmm. Our favorite old vibey theater.
Yeah.
We love being there. Huge, huge stage. Gosh, yeah. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
I guess I have to start working on that material.
Start.
If rehearsal's Tuesday. Or Saturday. Yeah. So, yeah, let's close it off. Let's, I'm going to make a wild recommendation. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to make those a thing. As we probably talked about, I'm afraid of flying. I forgot my help with flying pills this trip. And on the way back, it wasn't a bad flight, but I was flipping out a little bit, and I decided to go the other way with it. Instead of soothing, I was going to go something angry and amped up, and I was just going to push through it. And I listened to a group called Run the Jewels, which is a rap, hip-hop, whatever group. I gotta say, one of my favorites. I highly recommend, if you can get along with rap or hip-hop, even a little bit, if you just don't like it at all, then forget about it, you won't like it. But if you can get along with it even a little bit, some of the most original beats and rhymes, and it just sounds like nothing else. It's not the same trap beats and stuff. Mm-hmm. They don't do that. They are and it just helps me to get amped up, and I'm gonna get mad at this feeling, and I'm gonna get through it that way.
There you go.
So recommendation: Run the Jewels. I'm lame. I like Run the Jewels 2 the most. Run the Jewels 4 came out in 2020. They're all great, but Run the Jewels.
Was there a particular song that you wanted to recommend? You mentioned on the way home.
I did. One of my favorite songs features the lead singer from Rage Against the Machine on it, and it's called... Here comes a curse word. It's called Close Your Eyes and Count to Fuck. Oh. If you got a problem with angry stuff, you don't want to listen to that song. I'm gonna say right here.
Sorry, moms.
This is a recommendation for people who might want to hear something like that. But just, I've lamented so often, in this generation and in this time, where is the angry music? That has been a cornerstone of rock and roll, and even though we're talking about rap, this is very rock and roll rap. It doesn't have guitars or whatever, but it's very, that spirit. And where is the angry music? I mean, you go back to the 60s and the 70s and CCR. I mean, those songs now, they don't sound that angry, but they were Fortunate Son, and they were calling out all this stuff, and they were rock and roll always had its element of rebellion, and I'm going to call out the ills of society. I'm going to call out BS. Now that I said fuck. You know, and that's always been there. And then you look at artists now and you're like, who's doing that? You know, and like, where are the rock artists being like, no, you know, whatever, where are any artists doing that? And if you're in the market for that kind of thing, I would highly recommend Run the Jewels.
All
So
right.
that's my piece on that.
All right.
Yeah. Any unpopular opinions? It's
Not off the top of my head.
okay.
No.
All right. Well, cut that out.
What kind of... Is it an unpopular opinion to say I am going to be anti-pretty in a music video? Not exactly unpopular.
It's
Just a little against,
unpopular.
just a little against the grain.
It's gonna rub some people the wrong way. Of the 3 people who watch it, one of them will be like, eh.
Yeah. I don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah, exactly.
Having a small audience is a blessing.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Okay, guys. As always, we are sponsored by Performance High.
Voice and Music Studio.
And
the concept of negronis.
The concept of negronis.
Cheers.
The concept of rich people in the roaring 20s. Too much time on their hands.
See you next week.